This is the place where I lived for the first 20 years of my life. My commie-block, my yard, the goalposts we used to play football, the table we used to play kin and poo. And this is the video about the place I grew up. It's not the video about life in Siberia, it's rather a personal story about the place I lived before. But before showing you around, I want to explain a bit about Siberia. Well, because I see foreigners always have some misconceptions about Siberia. And since I'm coming from here, I want to break some of these misconceptions. Geographically speaking, Siberia is in Asia. It's not a country, it's not a Russian colony. Siberia is just a geographical region of Russia. It is so big and boundless that not every Russian can actually say where it starts or ends. If you compare the Siberia and the area of the United States, well, they are equal. Siberia can fit 3 Indias, or 27 countries the size of Germany. That's big, and much of Siberia covered by mountains and forests untouched by man. It's also cold there. You might know about the coldest inhabited place on Earth, Oymyakon, where temperature goes down to 45 degrees Celsius below zero in average during the winters. But not all Siberia is like that. Around 25% of Russia's population live here. We have cities with population of over 1 million of residents. And the city of Omsk, the place I grew up, is one of them. Now I'll give floor to 1 month ago Niki. Hey Niki! Hey Niki, I hope you're doing alright there. And hey guys, I'm staying in Omsk right now, surrounded by these 3 old Commieblocks. One is in front of me. And I can't believe that this place didn't really change for the last 20 years. That's the place where I spent my childhood. Feel the vibe. Flowers, bird decorations, and a commie-block that's turning 51 years old this year. It actually looks pretty much like when I was a kid. The only difference I spot is the balconies, windows and the cars. Now people can afford much better ones than before. Now I'm 27 years old and I was born in this neighborhood. I spent my kindergarten time, my school time in the area, and now I am back here after 7 or even 8 years of being traveling the world and living different places. Basically, my life was circling around 3 places. My commie-block, the apartment building behind me, this yard where we played with my friends, and my school that is located right behind this commie-block, just 3 minutes away. A few things about living in such Khrushchevka, that's how we call these commie-blocks. It is a cheap accommodation in Russia. Typically it's a 5-story building that doesn't have an elevator, which is okay for kids but might be very inconvenient for older people. Our apartment is actually much bigger than a typical Khrushchevka, and I think it's interesting to share the story how we got this 3-bedroom apartment. Much before I was born, my family lived in a small cottage house. Then my grandfather received a room at a communal apartment from the Soviet government. That's the time when they sold the house and moved to the Kommunalka, which was shared by several families. They kept the money from selling the house, and sometime after they managed to buy a 1-bedroom apartment at my Khrushchevka. A few years later, my great-great-grandma received another small apartment from the government as a compensation for her son disappeared at war, presumably dead. Now they have 2 apartments, one bought for money, one received from the government. They exchanged them into a larger 3-bedroom apartment, the one I live in. Usually Khrushchevkas have a yard nearby, so did we. Our yard was shared by about 1,000 people living in 3 commie-blocks next to each other. I used to hang out there every day. My friends and I played football, a Russian variation of cops and robbers, and Kin and a Poop. That's a card game that was popular for teenagers across Russia. This Destroy Tree was actually a part of the football gates. If we had enough players to form 2 teams, one gate here, another gate over there. Over here is actually the football gates if we had not enough people to play normal football with 2 teams, so then we divided for like small teams with 2-3 people each and had a goalkeeper that was playing for himself. That's all summer games, but in winter we tended to play ice hockey, snowballs, ice slates and the computer games. Actually, I like the computer games the most. The yard didn't really change for the last 10 years, this you gotta believe me. But how about our neighborhood? Thanks Google Maps, they have Street View from 2012 and 2017. This is my neighborhood from about 10 years ago. The building I lived, the yard, a lot of green trees around, quite old road, not very good one, and really messy market in front of my building. Right now, it looks pretty much like this. Still same building, same yard, the stores are exactly the same, but we have less green trees, much better road and not a messy market anymore, just a bus station and some small businesses around. Once again, this one is what we have now, and this one what we have about 10 years ago. Now let's go to see the school. That's a short walk from my home. I remember waking up around 8 a.m. and being not late for a class at 8:30, then staying at school until 1 or 2 p.m, coming back home and playing computer games, or playing with friends in the yard. Yeah, I had a lot of free time in my childhood. So do the majority of kids around me. My school still works and it also didn't change a lot, at least from the outside. The place from the first side didn't really change, it's still surrounded by lots of trees. It's actually very nice to see a lot of greens here, a lot of green stuff. I can recognize this thing as a new one. The time when I was studying here, we didn't have such a nice yard for, I guess, elementary school students. It's also over there. They built this area for kids, made the forest look a little nicer, changed the windows and upgraded the hockey rink with the help of our local hockey team. Avant-garde is quite popular here, they even won the National Cup a few times. The rest of the things look the same, even my PE teacher still works there. Right behind me there is a PE class going on, and I think the teacher staying there is exactly the same man who was teaching me in my high school class like 12, 13 years ago. Insane, so long time staying here. I'd love to show you the inside of the school too, but it was not possible for me to enter. This we call security theater in Russia. This very place is the place where I had the final grade photo with all my classmates and teachers. I wonder if you can spot me on the picture. If you really do, comment which one am I. So this is the place where I grew up. I am really curious to see what you think about my neighborhood. I wonder if there's anything like that in your country or not. Anyways, see you next Saturday.